When I'm cooking a nice, relaxed, informal meal for family and friends, I think one of the most satisfying and delicious dishes to cook are homemade pizzas. So I've got some strong white flour and a teaspoon of sugar and a teaspoon of salt measured out. And to that I'm going to add a sachet of yeast, straight into that, and a good glug of olive oil. There we go. I've got some warm water here. I'm just going to add it bit by bit. You might not need all of it. So starting off with about 3 or 4 tablespoons. Just slowly start to mix that in. Now it's pretty much holding together, so I think we can start kneading that. So a little bit of flour. And a good tip is to put a little oil on your hands to stop the dough sticking to them. I'm going to work the dough for about 10 or 15 minutes. Great way to work off any stress from the week. So that's exactly what I'm after, this lovely, smooth, glossy dough. And if you just press the top of it, you want to see if it springs back. So just gently push it with your finger. As it's sprung back, I know it's ready. So that goes in. I'll just cover that. I'm going to put that aside and then I'll go and check on that in an hour. The dough's had about an hour and it's risen beautifully. Take that back out of that bowl, onto my board. Cut that piece of dough in half and then each half into 3 pieces. So I end up with 6 sort of medium-sized pizzas. I'm going to roughly shape that on my board before rolling it out with a rolling pin. Because they're homemade, I don't think they have to be absolutely perfect circles. I quite like them looking a bit rustic. I'm going to transfer the pizza bases onto this tray. Now the beauty of making homemade pizzas is that you can use any toppings. So I'm doing 3 of my favourites. The first one, I'm using this lovely fresh basil pesto, quite generous with it. And I'm doing a pizza Bianca on this one, which means there's no tomato-based sauce. So on with the pesto. For the next one, I'm doing one of my favourite pizzas, and that's the Diavola. And for the base of that, I'm using the wonderful spicy roasted pepper pesto. I'm going to be really generous with this one. And for my third one, I'm doing a pizza packed full of flavour, and that's a Puttanesca. And for that, I'm using this fabulous tomato and olive sauce base. Now I'm using the chilled fresh pestos for all of these, but you can use the jars if you'd rather. And now for my toppings. So first one, the Bianca. I'm using some of this beautiful mozzarella, so just tear that into strips. For the Diavola, I'm using this wonderful spicy chorizo, which I think is a perfect match with that pepper pesto. It goes with the sweetness and the heat already in the sauce. I'm just going to top that with a little bit of cheese. And now for the Puttanesca, which I've got some of these lovely anchovies and some capers. I've preheated my oven, I've got the pizza stone lovely and hot. So all I've got to do now is transfer these pizzas onto that, and they're going to cook probably 10 or 12 minutes until that pizza base is lovely and crispy, and you've got that molten cheese on the top of these, and you've got that lovely caramelised sauce topping. And there we go. Wonderfully simple but utterly delicious, perfect pizzas.